function should have the human being between these two beings? Your life in the right way, or in a bad way, doesn't matter. That's all.
Anybody else have any suggestions? I try to talk something basis on your questions, and also anybody else has any other questions, I try to talk within this subject. No suggestions?
You said yesterday you talked about how to use money in the proper way, but his question was, how in the context of Dharma do we get to that money? What's the kind of right livelihood?
So that's it, yeah?
In history, there were situations in the West where money was quite a danger for the religion here, when they sold to free their soul, they Catholic Church took money, and for this money in exchange they gave freedom from sins or from spiritual freedom, like that. And this was a cause for a big change in the religious situation in the West. Do you see any such dangers this time too?
Okay.
She said she'd like to know more about generosity. She was giving the example like she lends money to somebody and that person doesn't pay it back, and then she doesn't feel that generous in that moment. So that kind of situation, and she also mentioned that there's a lot of subtle things about this whole complex question about generosity. If you could say something to this. She's scared the money will not be enough. That kind of keeps her mind busy.
I would like to know because money is waste in the words. If you try to explain what is money, how do you explain? If I try to explain what means Dharma, I may have some idea. But what is really means money, I don't know. When we talk about money, we talk about coins or papers, pound notes or Dutch marks. But what really means words money means? What I want to know, what means ma, what means ni. I'm interested.
Was ist ma und was ist ni?
Money.
Ja, würde das gerne wissen.
I mean, I can talk what means da, ma, but I don't know what means ma, ni. When we talk to, I'm going to go to bank to get my money, then what does that mean? Or I'm going to put my money into the bank. Or I'm going to get my money out of bank. There's nothing exists which has no value. So does that mean I can take a cup of water to bank and say I'm going to put my money into bank? But I have value for the water.
Like you value it, or for you it's valuable?
Yeah, I have value and somebody else has value. So if you're talking has some value for oneself and value other people, that is if the explanation of money is that, then you can have everything put into bank. Book is a piece of paper, which written by ink, it has no value.
Stück Papier, was
My idea has no value, book has no value. Book's value is basis on human value, but not book cannot make a value by book itself without human behind. But we human exist. How many in Germany exist?
62 million?
No. How many? When did Germany start?
Say that again. When?
The,
1949?
1945.
no, the people of Germany must be exist 2,000 or 3,000 years before.
Oh,
Yes.
that's a bit shade of history.
Yes. Anyway, the people exist much more than the money exists. Yes. Yes.
So does
The idea of exchange money, I don't think it's more than 1,000 years, or maybe no more than 2,000,
in this country?
or any country. But humans exist several thousand, I think, since humans started. I don't know how many people, I don't know myself, but people think it must be
100,000.
100,000 years,
Also,
or maybe even less, yeah? But we all know that money, the coins, or like gold coins, or brass coins, I don't think they cannot go farther than 2,000 or 3,000 years is the most, I think. Money is not exist since human is exist. Even when I was in Tibetan, which is about 30 years ago, before Chinese came to Tibetan, the Tibetan does have money exist, but the most exchange are not basis of money. Most exchange are basis on a good, not money. There's no money exchange. If you go to market, you take your good to exchange to another good. It's no money. There's no money exchange. We always do like 2 goods is for 1 sheep. 4 sheep is 1 cow. And for
that was the good. 2 goats are.
2 goats is equivalent of 1 sheep. And 4 sheep are equivalent of 1 cow, and 8 cows are equivalent of 1 horse, and 2 horses equivalent of 1 mule. So it goes in that basis. Of course, then there is good horse, bad horse, good sheep, bad sheep. But there is no system of price of, or there is no system of banking money into the bank. So when say somebody has much wealth, it means somebody has lots of cows or sheep. But it does not mean someone has lots of money. But then the first kind of putting value as money is either silver or gold. They made something as small pieces. Like I remember when I was a younger time, silver coins. The 1 coin has so much value. So if you are doing a business, that is only the business which you are making has only quarter of the value of that coin. Then you bring a knife and chop with the coins and a quarter or 3/4 or half. So I think we have to understand money in Western terminology, what it means, words of money. I don't really know. But my way of understanding is something good which exchange to one to another. So the material is kind of not directly as piece of paper, but indirectly as worth of money or something. So money is made in order to exchange to one country to another, like Western civilization, you have to have money. But in the East, a remote country, it's not the main important parts. There's many other ways to exchange good from one to another. I said, at that time, bread has value, but piece of paper has no value. Like Germans, in order to buy one bread, they have to borrow full of notes. Now, I suppose I try to talk something about what really means Dharma. And Dharma is English words. I don't really know what
It's English.
But Dharma, yes? Sanskrit, yes, sorry, Sanskrit word. But in Tibetan, it's called Chu. Chu means divide two types: worldly Dharma and spiritual Dharma. It has two things. Worldly Dharma means to gives the explanations, to help you to how to educations and how to free from your confusion state of your mind to learn educations. Machines has explanations how to use this machine to overcome the confusion state of your mind, to how to be free from the confusion. It's called worldly Dharma. It's like labels, like how to make hot water, how to cook food, how to dress up, and all this kind of gives you education. It's called worldly Dharma. And the spiritual Dharma is not just how to read the labels and not idea of to simple instructions, but how to be free from causes of suffering, and which we are, each of us has some kind of suffering, and how to be free from the suffering, at the same time how to be free from the causes of suffering, and to teaching and the basis on this is called spiritual Dharma. Now, when we talk what means Dharma for the human existence, then it means what kind of human existence, what kind of Dharma they're looking for. It could be worldly Dharma they're looking for, or they're looking for spiritual Dharma. But if a person practice pure worldly Dharma properly, then it becomes like spiritual Dharma. And it's like one person asked, what means right action or right livelihood, which is right livelihood means that anything which you do which does not cause suffering either directly or indirectly. Money or to what you earn, it's through honestly, not to put in extra value or not to take advantage because the other person is not intelligent enough to see what you're doing. And right livelihood, it means to work and to earn whatever that you're earning with it purely. And living in this situation, it's called right livelihood. I think we have to look at many things, not only just only one example. I think we have to consider many things. I would like to concerned, like when we talk honest and right livelihood in each of us. Now, we see there is so many negative, bad people far away. But we are, like example, Germany. We are good people. We talk, we are honest. Yes? We think we are very honest.
Sure, we are convinced.
We're convinced.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that true? That's the question.
But this is
The
what...
sense of right Dharma.
No, this is what I would like to analyze each of us first. I would like to talk a little more in this basis. So we have a third world country, but in a third world country, there's many bad people, there's much corruption. There's corruption in the Dharma, corruption in the people, corruption in society. But we are not corrupt people, yeah? In our country. I been Western since 63. That's quite some time. And of course I don't know every Western countries. Has some experience of society, how it works. I've been myself work for the society for 3 or 4 years and working in a hospital as one of the people. So I have some idea of how honest we are. And I would like to tell you our honest side.
Would you like to tell what?
Our honest side,
Oh, okay.
good side, honest, responsible, don't cheat others, don't do any bad things for others. I'm sure all of you have that experience when I tell you. When I work in a hospital as a cleaner, and I saw people who work with me, they take things in the night when they go home. Yeah? And in the beginning, I did not know what's happening, but it's not my job. But then we getting used to each other and say, are you not going to take anything? So I said, well, I can't take. They said, go on, take. The explanation which given to me is in the hospital, every week must be same orders. If that did not fulfill, and the health department don't give you the money, so you have to spend in that. But then, whether that true or not. But then I go a little further. Then, when more than 1 year, I see that it goes further than that.
Also, ob
What
das,
is happening? So, in a day, we have to order meals and say, I work in a theater, and they say we need 10 lunches. Now, sometimes there may be 10 people. Sometimes there may be only 3. But you still get 10 lunches. So I see the problem because in the main hospital where they are divided all the meals, they may have to make 1,000 meals a day overall. They can't able to count. Like today have to be 700, tomorrow 1,000. They look as one whole. Now, if you don't order like one department, then you may not get to within a week's time say that now we only need 700 meals. So when you really need it time to time, you don't get it. So therefore, you always to take the highest number every day, keep on going. Same system. Hospital is run by professors, doctors, staff, sisters, staff, nurses, nurse training, first year, auxiliary nurse, porters, engineers. It goes like many levels. Now, there was, so therefore, like doctors, the professors, they take, they may need one syringe, the home. They may need a bottle of medicine for the children. They take it from the hospital. They don't go chemist to buy one. That's fairly normal, isn't it? Everybody do that. So that's also, if you look very properly, that's also stealing. It's not belong to them.
Mhm. Also,
So the corruption is started from every level. They take what they needed. That's called corruption. And then every in a hospital, every that level take what they're capable. Electricians take light bulbs. And if we work in the office, when we have to write our personal letter, we use the papers. I'm sure many of you telephone your own family, your own friends from the office. That's also part of corruption. It's not part of belong to you. And you may use an envelope from the organization. That's also corruption, and it's its own way. But there's no different. Any other corruption, if we already do that, in every of our units, if we do the same thing, we can't be able to blame somebody else you're doing it, because we're doing whatever we can, and it's our own way. So, but if you try to be very earnest and say, to go to see secretary, like example, you're working in the office and say, go to see secretary, excuse me, I use 10 sheets of paper today, can I pay money? Since it's never existed, it's will make more problem to try to be a good, honest. It doesn't do any goodness. And they say, what are you talking about it? Put you in the blacklist, doesn't give you white list. And if you say, excuse me, I telephoned today my wife or my husband, it's cost quarter mark, try to pay that. You are accused. They think you are doing much bigger something, you try to hide something. maybe you're selling whole company or something. They never think you're honest. So what do you do? That's the society. So we're doing the best to try to be corruption country best as we can, all of us. So that's not only existed there, but exists all over us. But if we want to be not to be corrupt and want to be honest, right livelihood, we have to change each of us. But we can only change best as we can without present it and say, now I'm going to change myself and going to be a right livelihood. And that doesn't work. I saw many problems, like example, I tell you honest, when I tried not to take anything like clean up things, all of my friends, they are very angry with me and say, why you don't take there? And you are strange. They treat me as strange, but they don't treat me as an honest person. So, of course, doing that way, I have to take something. Then I become normal.
That's true.
So, I'm sure not only me, all of you had this same experience. No doubt, I can guarantee this. It's happening in the whole world. Not only one or two organizations. So therefore, if Dharma is basis on human existence, and there is corruption, there's no doubt. Dharma did not say that you have to be corrupted. But if Dharma is run by the human, since human has the capable to be corrupted, and therefore I'm sure Dharma may have corruption. But the nature of Dharma does not have corruption. So we have to find two things. Dharma don't have corruption. But if Dharma is organized by the human existence, then there is corruption. I'm sure, there's no doubt. I'm also run Dharma Center, so therefore I know that I try to be honest as best as I can, but sometimes I use, same as like any of you officer things, I use papers from the Dharma centers. I use a telephone calls from Dharma centers. I take food from Dharma centers. I take clothing from Dharma centers, which it may not belong to you, but you take those things. And that is a corruption in its own way. Every of you go back tomorrow office, try not to use one single thing which is not belong to you. It's impossible. You can't do that. Because we have a habit of using things. It's in our hand. It's in our mind. When every of you have an office, you have a table, you have things, and you can't able to stop that. But if you do stop, and if you're using less piece of paper, the office think you're not doing any job. So you have to use paper and put in rubbish bins, and then they think you're doing very well. And you must work in very hard. There's so much paper used. So anyway, and it's no good to talk in something which is happening for far away. But I think it's important to look each of us, what we do. And this is important. And if we want to be spiritual, we want to be Dharma, a Dharma person, and a good understanding of Dharma, then each of us are responsible to change and the pureness of each of us. Not our responsibility is not for other people as such. Our responsibility is each of us. If we don't take our responsibility by ourselves, there's nobody will do it for you. Of course, Dharma is not, as I already told last night, Dharma is not against money, but if the money exists, the Dharma can use money properly in the right way if you have a Dharma understanding. That gives you to able to use the money properly. But on the other hand, in order to be a good Dharma, you don't have to have money. Money is not everything for the Dharma. So Dharma can use money if you had that, use the right way, if you have proper understanding of Dharma. But if you don't have that, there's no kind of force behind to say, I have to have Dharma in order to practice Dharma. You don't have to have that.
You have to have money.
In order to practice
Yeah.
Dharma, you don't have to have money.
Okay.
So, for the Dharma itself, you can do with money, you can do without money, but you can do the Dharma all the time, one way or another. For the worldly life, Dharma is worldly life, then it depends according to your desire. If you have a bigger desire, you need more money. You have a less desire, you need less money. But still, human existence not only depend all the time money itself. Physical health, in order to maintain the physical body, you may need money, kind of a way of exchange things. But for your happiness, we all know that happiness does not come to basis of only money. Happiness is very much basis on one's own understanding, and the happiness comes very much basis on the flexibility of your life. Concerned with loan and charity, I think when you learn money or your wealth to somebody, it's not a charity. It's your loan and you expect it. Either it's with interest in or without interest in. You want back, same condition is how you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Charity means that you're giving to somebody without any expectations. Whoever feel I'm poor, maybe that person driving Rolls Royce coming around and begging for, you give it very happily, not to looking at conditions, how that person coming to the door and what kind of dress, how many gold chains in his neck, is not concerned with pure charity. Pure charity is whoever feel I'm poor, that you give it. This is a pure charity. So it's concerned with mind poorness. Like I'm poor, I have one Rolls Royce, I'm still poor, I need to buy another Rolls Royce. So you go street and begging. For the pure charity, it's the same. You give it, whoever it's a raising hand, doesn't really matter, and say how much money in your bank, what kind of car you're driving, what kind of dresses you're wearing. I don't want to give it to you. There's another poor. That does not exist. It's say that whoever is feeling I'm poor, won't give it. But this is something which very difficult to understand in a Western concept. And say Western concept is said we only give people which is a physical poor. But we don't know there is such called a mental poor exist beyond physical poorness. If you borrowed something and that person is, you show that this person is not going to pay back anyway, and you can't bother to go to court case and say, I give it to you, and that is not pure charity. It's maybe to solve your problems, but still in your mind it's not given yet. You're only given because it's convenient. Parents and tell the children, when I die, I give you my house to you. That's not pure gift, because they can't, since they can't take their house when they die, there's no any other alternative, except there's no any other choice. You can't take a house with you. So that's not pure gift. So there's no any other alternative, but it's not a gift. So gift does not mean all the same quality. It means you giving somebody when they need it very badly. And also the real gift is the most valuable thing. Whatever you have, you give it that to others. It's the real gift. It's like if you have 10 packets of rice and your larder, and the beggar comes your door, and the rice has different dates. One rice packet said today expires this rice packet. Another one said this packets will expire next year. And another one said it's already expired. Real gift is you give it one which is going to expire next year. And you use yourself one which is already expired and little rotten, little moldy underneath. But if you give it the rotten ones, that's not much useful. Better than throw away in the dustbins, but it's much the same. It's not really a gift as such. So give it whatever is the most valuable thing. But don't give it until you're ready yourself. Because by kind of inspiration, like example, I talk this for a long time. You go home, I think I should practice this. So you give it whatever the most precious thing today, but since you are not matured, and tomorrow you need it back. Because you are not quite ready. And you don't give it things until you're ready yourself. So I think that covers most questions so far which you raised. But if you look at the what is called Hare Krishna system, then every initiation you pay, you get one. So that's maybe this system. So you don't get the initiation until you had the money. And more higher the initiation, more expensive. But I don't think that is the how the original start. I think original start is very much basis on your own spiritual development. When you have more understanding, you can get the next initiation. And then Western system, a Dharma or church, you have a price of everything. If you want to christen your child, you have a price. If you want to do funeral service, you have a price. If you want to do marriage, you have a price. You pay price. And if you pay more money, you get more church choir. If you pay less, you get less people. So in our society, we pay price, we are allowed to die. We pay price, money to I'm allowed to born. So it's called born, birth certificates, death certificates, birth the tax duty to transfer one property to another, and when you die, you pay tax because you are dead. You left some of your wealth to your relatives, so you pay tax for that. So also everything is payments. Everything basis on money. I think it depends to people. Like it's very much happening, same system like East. Like if you look in Nepal or Thailand, Cambodia, and Burma, like say like Nepal, and people wants to do business, and say, please say a prayer for me to able to do a good business. But not, they are all Buddhist people, but they don't see what is kind of business it's going to be, whether it's going to sell arms, whether it's going to sell drugs. And they don't tell to the lamas. Lama don't ask them what kind of business. Is it the right one? I'm willing to do the prayer. Wrong one, I'm not willing to do the prayer. There isn't any question. When they requested, say, okay, I will do the prayer to have a good business. But I think it's a basis on a very much human society system. But there isn't any such call as you pay by money and to achieve by first bhumi and second bhumi, 10th bhumi. I don't think you can't buy that with money. It's something which you have achieved by yourself. But the kind of traditions like you do in the East, they do many bad things, and then come to a monastery and say, I done so many bad things, can you purify it, can you say the prayer? And then a few months time they go back to do the same thing and say, I done other bad things, can you do the prayer? So it's a kind of habit. But it's nothing to do with the Buddhism. It's one behind.
How is it with giving money to a beggar who's alcoholic?
Well, I don't give money to beggar. I only give food for the beggars. Myself, personally.
Like if you give money, like you said, it's a pure gift. It doesn't matter what people do with it, but as a dharmic person, you don't want them to get bad habits. I mean, it's in the same line what he was asking you. Even if you not attached to the outcome, you think it's a kind of waste to give somebody more bad habits, whereas, it could be used in a sensible way, not because we expect it, but you don't want to create bad habits or strengthen them.
I think that depends how deep Dharma practitioner yourself. If you are very deep a Buddhist person, you give whatever people ask you to request. Like it's said, if we talk like charity, it's based on three things. The charity, first you give a charity your wealth. Second charity, you give it your son, your daughter, your relatives, whoever they need it. And the third charity, or the second charity, not only that, but you give it your eye, you give it your lung, heart, leg, whatever that the other people ask you without any question for them. The third, the highest charity is the spiritual, the Dharma charity. You give it for day and night. Whenever who or she requests it to you, you give it without feeling of I'm exhausted, feeling of this is listening properly, feeling of this not listening properly. Long as there is somebody requesting, you give it with sincerely. So there is a different kind of degree. One can't able to apply and say this must be done. I think it's have to go according to one's own capability. At the same time, each individual has its own case, so one can't be able to say. Like example, sometimes people cannot die. Like example, alcoholic person cannot able to die without giving a glass of alcohol, because it has so much a desire, I needed to glass. Now, if you say that person remained maybe sick for 10 years without giving a cup of glass, in one way, I think it's wrong to give a glass, because he's an alcoholic person. But on the other hand, that person's life is lived and holded by not getting a glass of alcohol. And how would you know why that person is remained as lived? So I don't really know myself. You do the best as you can.
But the question was also, for instance, if we go and want to do charity to Dharma, I mean, that's a question in the people who support it and who practice it. You feel like even if you're not really attached to it, you want to do something sensible with it. I mean, you don't want to sponsor wrong habits or something like this. So, all right, we might not know, but if I have the choice to sponsor a project where people are going to retreat or meditate, or if I sponsor something which goes out the chimney because the window is not in the house, and somebody's too lazy to fit a window. I mean, it seems like common sense that I can say, okay, do I know, but does it really make sense then?
I think you always do try to, if you are a human person, you try to take best as you can before you do something. But if that you done best as you can, you realize you made a big mistake, then I think you have to, if you are a Dharma person, you should try to satisfy it, rather than to go to court and try to justify it. I'm not sure whether that's the right thing. But that's also depends each individual basis. How much understanding of Dharma, what kind of he or she mean what Dharma means, and what means charity, what kind of level of understanding of charity. I think it goes far more broader rather than only one or two ideas.
Concerning your opinion, your view concerning the Dharmic scene in Germany, now has been, yes, it's 12 years ago that His Holiness Karmapa came on his first visit to, his last visit also, to Germany. And since that time, here in Germany, we invested our surplus money into the visits of lamas, giving teachings here in Germany, and the development of the centers has been only developed to such a state that we are able to receive lamas in such a frame like this here, to listen to the teachings. So yesterday you stressed the importance of constructing monasteries. And now in Europe we have such a big monastery as yours in Samyeling and Kajuling and other places. So is there, in your point of view, a necessity to construct also monasteries in Germany to preserve the Dharma? Or do you see other forms of fostering the possibilities, facilities of listening, practicing Dharma here in Germany?
That's a very difficult subject to answer. I think I would like to talk several points of view. When His Holiness came to first time in Europe, and second time he came to Europe, I was one of the organizers. I've been along with him, to traveling with him. And also that at that time, the Samyeling is one of the meant to be the biggest center and more wiser than other places, and more wiser center than others. But out of this, His Holiness visiting, then many other centers are risen. Now, at that time, has also same questions. Should we have many centers? There is already a center in Gyurme Ling. There is a center in Karma Dhagpo Gyurme Ling. There is a center in Samyeling. Because if we have more centers, maybe there is not enough people coming to the center for those 3 places. Is it not wiser not have centers? So that also question raised at that time. But His Holiness said, whoever wants to establish a center should have the opportunity wherever they want to do. Doesn't really matter, because there is enough populations. So I think it goes a similar way. If you look at how many church each corner of your street, in like example like Munich, there must be 30 or 40 churches. Whether they need it, whether they don't need it, I don't really know. Each person has its own desire. And I think if there is such a desire, wants to build a monastery in Germany, I think it's do so, whether it's needed or not, because it's people's desire. I don't think it should not be depends. Somebody say, you don't need it because there is another one somewhere else. I think it's up to each individual to make a decision. And if they think there is money, if they think there is need a monastery, and I think that should be happen. And that should not be basis on because there is something else. But as far as the preservation of Tibetan culture, and if we are thinking entirely for the benefit for the Tibetan, then I think it's very important to the present moment, where there is still several old teachers exist. We miss so many best chance. Many teachers are already gone. Now there is few great teachers still alive. And during this time, I think it's important everybody to study and practice, not a basis on building, not a basis on to start so many centers which has so much internal problems. I don't think that will benefit for the Tibetans. That will certainly not benefit for each individual. So studying and the practice should be the first opportunity. Then to building things may be second thing. I think that's what I see. But if there is a demand, then of course one have to put. Maybe in Munich there may be 10 Tibetan monasteries. If there is 10 people once, of course they should do so. That's what my feeling.
I'd like to ask something more subtle about true generosity. You were talking about giving the packets of rice, different packets of rice. Now, let's say this situation occurs in my own life and I'm aware of what you just said. I don't spontaneously give the best rice to the poor person because I am not a good person yet, but I'm striving to be a good person. So my first reaction would be to give the rotten rice, but because my thinking mind prevents me, I then say I'll give the one that's 1 week delay, and then I remember Rinpoche's talk, and then I say, no, okay, I make a deal. It's better to give the long one, and I'll eat the rotten one. What about that? It's not true generosity, it's calculated generosity.
Sure, it's a said mind training. If you look at the Thai Siddhupa's way to go, the first thing you have to train your mind. And when you are trained your mind, you have to sacrifice few small things.
Yeah.
And by you are getting used, then it's no longer sacrifice, but you can able to apply that properly. So it's no good just think, maybe I able to do this in maybe 10 years time. Of course, you may not able to give your eye and your lung and your heart, I'm sure. But those also should be a mind training. And I hope one day that I able to give you my eye, my whatever my body somebody required. But in the present moment, may I able to give it something which is not so painful is my physical body. So you have to do both at the same time.
I'm willing to try and do both at the same time, but I want to know the subtleness of the true generosity. There's a second part to what I wanted to ask you. One was about the rice, when I have to convince myself,
Yes.
which if I understand
For
it
the
properly,
first time, yes.
it's trained.
Yes.
That is the training.
Yes. For the
I
first
train
time.
myself the first time, the second time
It's a little easier.
it's easier, and the third time I automatically
Yes,
give it.
yeah.
That's
Become
the whole,
habit,
right?
yes.
Becomes a habit. Now, if it becomes a habit, is that generosity?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. If it's a right kind of habit, then that would be good generosity. Yes.
If I give things that I'm not attached to, I'm
Then
not
that will
talking.
not be a generosity.
Oh.
If
So,
you give a
in-
shoes which is 10 years old, you
No.
can't able to wear, then that will not be
No,
a generosity.
but if I don't mean if I give rotten and old things,
Yes.
I'm not attached to. I think I'm talking about valuable things.
Yes.
I have a diamond ring.
Mhm.
I'm not attached to it. It's
Mhm.
beautiful, I enjoy its beauty, but I don't need it.
Mhm.
If I give that, is that true generosity?
If you see that it has great benefit to somebody.
Isn't that selfishness?
No, I don't think so, because somebody fulfill great excitement and somebody has fulfill all their life dream.
But Rinpoche, that's exactly the point. If I can give somebody this kind of excitement
Mhm.
and that kind of happiness,
Yeah.
then I increase my kind of happiness because I find that very nice.
Yeah,
Then
but
that's selfish.
you don't ask my happiness. It's said the pure gift. There's nothing to give, nobody to give, no one to give in.
Right.
But that three understanding is the pure.
What was that not to give?
Nothing to give,
No.
nobody to give, no one to giver.